KIRO Sports presents a special edition of The Locker Room. Brought to you by Buick and your Buick dealer. The Great American Road belongs to Buick. By Big O Tires, your winter tire headquarters. By Pizza Hut. And by your Western Washington Nissan dealers, offering liquidation prices on all remaining 1987 cars and trucks.
And a pleasant good afternoon, everyone. It wasn't easy, nor was it pretty, but it was a win, and that's all that Chuck Knox cares about as the Seahawks today rack up win number 6 on this NFL season, a 24-13 victory over the Green Bay Packers at the Kingdome. Coming up in the next half hour or so, we will recap some of the good, the bad, and the ugly plays from today's action at the Kingdome. We will go live to Ron Callan at the Dome and talk to some of the Hawks who contributed to today's 24-13 win. And we will recap for you what was certainly a big weekend around the National Football League. In fact, we do have a lot of scores and highlights to bring to you, so let's get right to it. We start in Cleveland today, where the Cleveland Browns won a big one. Bernie Kosar winning the battle of Miami University graduates. The Browns win the football game. Kosar passed for 346 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jim Kelly of Buffalo passed for 222 yards, but the Browns win it 27-21. That keeps Cleveland in a tie for the AFC Central Division lead with the Houston Oilers, of all people, who had a field day in Pittsburgh. Warren Moon throwing 2 third-quarter touchdown passes as the Oilers crushed the Steelers 23-3. And to Chuck Noll, the Steelers' Super Bowl era must seem like light years away. His club was dominated at Three Rivers Stadium by the up-and-coming Oilers. Besides Moon, the story of this game, the Houston defense, Domingo Bryant, picking off this Bubby Brister pass in the fourth quarter. Brister in for the slumping Mark Malone. Here is the hit of the day. Watch the Oilers' Keith Bostic on the safety blitz. Boom! As he levels Brister, as much the same way the Oilers leveled the Steelers, 23-3. How times have changed in the AFC Central. Up in Foxborough, Massachusetts, a great football game between the Cowboys and the home Patriots. You see the score. It went to overtime this afternoon. Tom Landry, as always, impeccably attired on this Sunday. Just when you think his Cowboys are down and out, they come up with a big win like today. First quarter action from Foxborough. Steve Grogan, that's a mistake, Steve. That's Ron Francis in the Dallas uniform scoring 7-0, but Grogan atones for his boo-boo in the second quarter, keeping and scoring here to tie the football game 7-7. Let's fast forward to the fourth quarter now. Cowboys ahead 14-10. Patriots 4th and goal at the 5. Tom Ramsey in at quarterback now will hit Stanley Morgan for the touchdown, and the Pats lead at 17-14. Cowboys last chance, 4th down for them. Danny White will pump fake, hits Mike Renfro. The clutch reception gets him down close. Roger Ruzek kicks a field goal with 28 seconds left to tie it at 17, forcing overtime. And you want to know why Dallas shelled out the big bucks for Herschel Walker? For games like this, folks. In OT, Herschel goes off tackle. He's in the secondary. He is end zone bound, ladies and gentlemen. A 60-yard game-winning touchdown, giving Dallas a dramatic 23-17 overtime victory over the Patriots. And now for this one in RFK Stadium in Washington, the Redskins struggled a bit but beat the Detroit Lions today. 20-13 was the final there. But the big story in this one, the Redskins benched their slumping quarterback Jay Schrader in the second quarter, inserting veteran backup Doug Williams, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer. So what happens? So with the score tied at 3, Williams will drive the Skins downfield and hit Kelvin Bryant, who scores, and Washington leads by a count of 10-3. And then in the final minute of the half, Doug Williams will evade the Lions' pass rush, and he lets her rip downfield. Gary Clark in the end zone. A terrific catch as the Redskins hold off the slumping Detroit Lions. 20-13 the final today at RFK Stadium in Washington. All right, now time to check in with Ron Callan down at the Kingdome, and for more on today's game from the Hawks locker room. Ron?
Thank you very much, Tim Healey. I'm with Brian Bosworth. Brian, what kind of a ball game was it for you today? You guys won, so you got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, we feel real good. It was a big win for us. You know, we knew going in the game it was going to be tough, and you know, coming out of the game, I know these men are men. They came from a physical division, and they play football. They don't play that panty waist football that a lot of teams play in. And you know, they came out. It was a war today.
All right, now, how do you think you did today? You had that. You were so close to that interception, and you kind of fell back, and the fans like that. To talk about that.
You know, we were in a man coverage, and it was one of those things where we had to, you know, double up on one guy, and had a little bit of confusion going out of the backfield. But You know, it was one of those things. I was kind of in shock he threw the ball in my direction because it's, you know, anytime, that's the first time that a quarterback has thrown the ball in my direction. So maybe the next time I'll get my mitts on a little harder.
You guys have a tough loss Monday night, and it was kind of a regroup this week. You know you have 3 home games in a row. How big a win was this one for you?
Well, because of the loss, we had to suck it up and go. You know, there's no doubt about it that this game was very pivotal in our situation, and we knew that Green Bay was either going to make or break us. These 3 home games are going to help us out tremendously. We got San Diego here next week, and I know everybody's keyed up about it. I know everybody was very well in tuned and on the same page today that there was no way that we were going to lose this football game if we wanted to get in the playoffs. So we knew how important the game was. We went out and approached it that way.
Right now, you've had a chance to get used to Seattle, and to get used to the Kingdom and the fans and the players. What's it like for you here, Brian? How are you adjusting?
Well, you know, I'm real disappointed in the fans for one respect that, you know, Dave Craig goes out and he does a great job for us. And if he throws an interception or gets sacked or something, they boo him. And I think that's, you know, that's ridiculous because, you know, Dave is a great man. He's won a lot of football games around here. And he doesn't need the boos. He needs the encouragement. You know, last year he goes in the tailspin because of the boos. Let's stop the booing and let's get to yelling because, you know, Seattle is here and we need the encouragement from everybody.
One final question. Early in the game, one of the referees came up to you and took off some material from your uniform or your arms or whatever. Tell us what happened.
Well, yeah, I was informed at the beginning of the week that I was not allowed to wear my 44 Blues insignia, and they specified shoes only. So, you know, as I did last week, I had the 44 Blues on my arms and on my towel, and I had one on my butt. But you know, he told me that that I had to take them off, which is it's a real petty rule. It kind of showed where their minds were in the game because we got homered on a lot of fouls today and didn't get the calls that we needed. And if their minds are going to be on what I'm wearing out there instead of officiating a football game, then we're going to be in a world of hurt sometimes.
But you had the headband. You still have that.
The headband. You know, to me, it's a very ridiculous rule, and I think they need to readjustify their you know, their position on what you know, is important to them. You know, officiating a football game is much more important than what I'm wearing on myself.
All right. Good luck next week against San Diego, and thanks for stopping by.
Thank you.
All right, Brian Bosworth, linebacker for the Seattle Seahawks. Tim Healey, good day for the Seahawks, 24-13 the victory, but as you said, it wasn't pretty.
It wasn't pretty at all as the Boz chastises Seattle fans for their treatment of Dave Craig. Okay, let's get back to the scoreboard now. And how about this upset, or is it really an upset? The Indianapolis Colts pound Miami 40-21. The Colts' first victory over the Dolphins since 1980. Things looking awfully good on the sidelines today at Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami. On the field, things were looking good early on for the Dolphins. Dan Marino fires to Dan Johnson for the touchdown, 14-0 in favor of Don Shula's Fish. But Eric Dickerson had another big day, 157 yards rushing, and his first Indianapolis touchdown. That helped tie it at 14. Late first half, Marino drives the Dolphins, hits Freddie Banks, who cuts to the middle, and then stretches over the goal line to score 21-17 Dolphins. But this game belonged to the Colts. Dean Biasucci with 4 field goals on the day. And then in the second half, the Colt defense forced numerous Miami mistakes, including this Marino interception. Dan probably not too happy at this point, even though his Pitt Panthers beat Penn State last night. The Colts' other running back, Albert Bentley, had himself a nice day, 80 yards. This 17-yard TD. The Colts keep a share of first place in the AFC East with a 40-21 pounding of the Miami Dolphins. In St. Louis today, the Cardinals found themselves on the wrong side of a comeback. The LA Rams won't escape the NFC Western Division cellar, but a 27-24 win is good news. Better news, running back Charles White, Eric Dickerson's replacement, rushing for, that should be 213 yards. He actually had 213 yards today on 34 carries. At the Metrodome in Minneapolis, former Husky Chuck Nelson booted 3 field goals in the Vikings' 23-17 win over Tampa Bay. Bucs head coach Ray Perkins himself looking rather dapper this afternoon. Who's the Viking quarterback these days? Wade Wilson started this one, but then Tommy Kramer came in. He went long here to Anthony Carter, but the Bucs are guilty of pass interference in the end zone, and that set the stage for another ex-Husky, Rick Fenney of Snohomish, who scores his first NFL touchdown, putting the Vikes ahead to stay at 13-7. Later on in the football game, Kramer fakes the give, goes to Steve Jordan for the touchdown, as Minnesota goes on to dump the Bucs 23-17, the final this afternoon. In rainy Kansas City, meanwhile, the woebegone Kansas City Chiefs lost their franchise record 8th straight football game as the New York Jets won it by a count of 16-9. Indeed, a lovely day for football in Kansas City. Dig this, Chiefs are 1-7, right? They've got 4th and goal at the 1, and they kick a field goal. Imaginative devils, aren't they? Still, they led it 9-6 till early in the 4th quarter when Ken O'Brien finds the leaping Al Toon, who makes the catch and then sloshes his way into the end zone as the Jets stay in a first-place tie in the AFC East. 16-9 the final. The Jets win it. Well, they renewed another of those long-time rivalries today in Philadelphia, and it was a dandy football game as the New York Giants beat the upstart Philadelphia Eagles. Giants rallying from a touchdown down to win it today. The final, the Giants 20 and the Philadelphia Eagles 17. Now we move on down to Atlanta, where the Falcons and Bengals tangle. Two teams having bad seasons, but bad got worse for the Falcons as they lose at 16-10. Atlanta led at 10-6 when Jim Breach's 4th quarter field goal cut it to 10-9. And then in the final minute, Cincinnati's Larry Kinnebrew, all 270 pounds of him, bulls into the end zone for the winning touchdown in the Bengals' 16-10 victory. They're now 3-6. Atlanta drops to 2-7. And perhaps the game of the day up at Candlestick Park in San Francisco, the 49ers and Saints engaging in a thriller. Watch out for New Orleans. Jim Mora's team wins at 26-24. Bill Walsh's Niners found themselves victims of the Saints' special teams in this one. Ray Wersching's field goal attempt blocked. Johnny Poe picks it up, runs 65 yards for the touchdown, and that gave the Saints a 23-14 lead. But with just over 2 minutes to go, the Niners on a 4th and 7. And looky here, Joe Montana, who sat out part of the game with an injury, hits Ron Heller to give the Niners a 24-23 lead, but the Saints come right back. Morton Anderson's field goal attempt to win it will barely clear the crossbar, but clear it does. And the Saints are now just a game out of first place, 6-3, as they win it 26-24, the final. A dramatic finish today at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. A dramatic day around the National Football League. Okay, time now to check out the first half highlights of this afternoon's Kingdome affair. The Seahawks beating the Green Bay Packers today by the count of 24-13. Head coach Chuck Knox talking things over with assistant Chick Harris. They certainly weren't saying nice things about the quality of play early. Both teams kicking the ball all over King County. This Packer fumble thwarts a golden Green Bay scoring opportunity, though Max Zendejas did salvage a 31-yard field goal out of the early mess. Zendejas finding a home perhaps in Green Bay after stints last year in Dallas and Washington. Trailing 3-0, the Hawks head downfield on their next possession. Dave Craig goes 20 yards to Steve Largent. That catch stretching Largent's streak of games in which he has caught at least one pass to an NFL record 146, but the Hawks were unable to get any points out of that possession. So it was time for the special teams and the defense to dominate. Ruben Rodriguez, who had a nightmarish night in Jersey on Monday, bombs one deep here. The Packers fumble this around. The Hawks cover it and set Green Bay up at their own 3-yard line. Then near midfield, the Pack driving again until, boom, Freddie Young on the blitz sacks quarterback Randy Wright. And the first quarter ends with Green Bay on top of this one, 3-0. Now, don't go away. We have lots more to tell you about in this special edition of The Locker Room. If you missed the NFL scores, get out that football pool scorecard, and we'll run them down and update them for you once again before we leave today. And when we return, we'll go into the second quarter of today's game. That plus another visit to the Hawks locker room coming up.
You wouldn't be caught barefoot in the ice and snow, now would you? Of course not. Yet many people will be caught without proper traction tires on their vehicle. Your neighborhood Big O Tire store has the answer. Mud and snow tires with deep, aggressive treads to help you get safely through the ice and snow. And with over 260 stores, Big O gives you the best products at the best prices. So don't get stuck in the snow. Get to Big O Tires, your winter tire headquarters.
How do you pack a party? With Pizza Hut Pairs plus Pepsi. You get 2 medium cheese pizzas plus a 6-pack of Pepsi Cola, all for $10.99. And just $1.29 per topping covers both pizzas. Pick them up or get them delivered. Pizza Hut Pairs plus Pepsi. 2 medium cheese pizzas and a 6-pack of Pepsi for $10.99, takeout or delivery. It's the perfect combo to pack a party.
The totally new Buick Regal. There's nothing like it on the American road.
Out on the horizon, the heart of a Buick the start of a regal new day. The great American road was made for Regal. It's a Regal reward. It's the way it should be in this Regal American land. The great American road belongs to Buick.
Welcome back to this special edition of The Locker Room. I'm Tim Healey, thanking you for joining us. And now we'll jet right back down to the Kingdome to Ron Callan, who's standing by live with rookie Tony Woods, who made a couple of big plays in this afternoon's victory. Ron?
Well, Tony's happy for a couple of reasons. Tim, number one, his alma mater Pitt beat Penn State yesterday 10-0. And Tony, you recovered a fumble, and you also caused the fumble. Let's talk about that play first of all. I think it was in the second quarter.
Yes, I think it was a big play because they just got a turnover and they was inside our territory, and we needed a big play, and fortunately I came up with it.
All right, now you went home last week and saw the family, but you lost the game. It was a little disappointing for you. You're back here in Seattle, and you guys, it was really a must-win, and it wasn't a pretty victory with all the turnovers for both teams, but you got it. How big a win is this for you guys?
It's a very big win because all during the week, the word for the day was win. No matter how we was going to do it, we had to win. And, you know, it was a little bit of a sloppily played game, but we're right there in the middle of the AFC West right now.
All right, now some of the play on the defensive side, especially special teams with Tony burst the block punt, that was a real lift for you guys.
That was a key play. We really felt going into the game and we could get at least one block punt. We really thought maybe two, and you know, he did come up with a big play.
All right, now you're 6-3. You get a chance to watch the Chargers and the Raiders tonight, and the next week it's San Diego. You didn't get a chance to play them the first time because of the strike, but here they come with Dan Fouts and company. That's got to be a little bit scary with Dan Fouts.
Oh yes, he's playing very well this year. Now, unfortunately, I'm glad we do have him in the Kingdome, which really probably put a lot of pressure on him. So, you know, kind of like rooting for the Raiders right now, a little bit on the side, but we have to take care of it ourselves.
All right, Tony, I hope you get that laryngitis taken care of, and you're 100% next week.
Thank you.
All right, Tony Woods of the Seattle Seahawks. The Seahawks win it 24-13 over Green Bay, Tim, and next week, you know, it's San Diego. That's a biggie.
It is a biggie. And, Ron, I want to thank you for not having Tony elaborate on Pitt's victory over Penn State last night. I really appreciate that.
No problem.
Okay, the second period of today's game was action-packed, to say the least. Let's check out the highlights from period 2, which began, you'll recall, with Green Bay on top 3-0, but the lead didn't last long. First play of the quarter, look at this. Kurt Warner breaks loose a 57-yard touchdown run. I believe that is Warner's longest run from scrimmage since the Denver regular season finale a year ago. That gave Seattle a 7-3 lead. But Forrest Gregg's Green Bay Packers were not quitters on this Sunday. On the ensuing kickoff, the Pack's fine rookie back out of Auburn, Brent Fullwood, the 4th player chosen in this year's NFL draft, makes a nice return, 47 yards, all the way to the Seattle 47-yard line. And Green Bay wasted little time capitalizing on its nice field position as Randy Wright passes to Keith Paskett for the touchdown. And at this point, the Hawks were Paskett cases, trailing 10-7. It was 13-7 Green Bay after another Zendejas field goal when the Packers kick it off to David Hollis, and he will make a nice return right up the middle. He goes 40 yards to put the Hawks in business. The Seahawks head downfield from there, but that drive comes to an abrupt halt when Craig's pass off the rollout is picked off by linebacker Johnny Holland at the 2-yard line. At this point, then, came perhaps the turning point of the contest. 2:08 left in the half. Packers back to punt, but Tony Burse smothers the kick. Eugene Robinson scoops it up. He scores, and the Seahawks take the lead for good at 14-13. The special teams come through once again. But the Hawks weren't through. When Green Bay gets the ball back, Wright is flushed out of the pocket. He will be hit by Jacob Green and fumbles. Paul Moyer, the special teams captain, picks it up, returns to the Packer 8-yard line, and then with 43 seconds left in the half, Craig back to pass. The Packers do a poor job of containment, and Dave scampers 8 yards for the touchdown. It's 21-13. The Seahawks lead it at halftime. We are halfway through today's game. Recap, 2 quarters to go. We'll get to that. Plus, later we'll show you the updated NFL standings, so stay with us.
No matter how big the Sealy mattress, any size is one low price, Monday only at the Bond. Sealy's medium firm mattress or box spring is just $99.95 any size. This Sealy firm is $149.95 each piece, any size. Even the Sealy Posturepedic mattress or box spring is only $199.95 each piece, any size. Now you can choose a queen size Sealy set for the same low price as a twin set. Any size is one price, Monday only at the Bond, where the choices are.
Your Nissan dealer is driving out the largest herd of 87 cars and trucks he's ever had. With help from the factory, he's branded prices lower than ever. What a roundup. Cars and trucks rated #1 in quality, all priced to move. So stampede on over and drive home a goodbye on the cars and trucks built for the human race.
Move it out!
Drive it out!
Drive it out!
Move it out!
Play the game!
Play the game!
How do you pack a party? With Pizza Hut Pairs plus Pepsi. You get 2 medium cheese pizzas plus a 6-pack of Pepsi Cola, all for $10.99. And just $1.29 per topping covers both pizzas. Pick them up or get them delivered. Pizza Hut Pairs plus Pepsi. 2 medium cheese pizzas and a 6-pack of Pepsi for $10.99, takeout or delivery. It's the perfect combo to pack a party.
Rolex and your official Rolex jeweler share a commitment to quality, symbolized by the display of this crystal prism. Achievers such as golf legend Arnold Palmer wear the 18-karat gold Rolex President with confidence and pride, knowing that their timepiece sets the standard for excellence. Look for the Rolex Prism, your assurance of authenticity, only at your official Rolex jeweler.
Porcello Jewelers, downtown Renton and across from Nordstrom's in Bellevue.
Welcome back to this special edition of The Locker Room. I'm Tim Healey, recapping for you the Seahawks' big victory today, 24-13 over the Green Bay Packers. Let's move now to period 3. It didn't start brightly for the Pack, who lost their starting quarterback, Randy Wright, with a sprained ankle. He did not return. He was replaced by rookie Don Majkowski out of Virginia, who evades both Jacob Green and Joe Nash here, and will find Frankie Neal downfield, a 38-yard pickup. Watch this next play here. Majkowski back to throw. Remember what the Boz was talking about? Oh, man. Should have had his first NFL interception. He will have to wait another day, will Brian Bosworth. One man who did not botch an interception opportunity was former Seahawk Dave Brown, who returned to the Kingdome today and swiped this Craig pass to put the Packers in possession at the Seattle 42-yard line. But then Chuck Knox's defense buckles down. First-round draft pick Tony Woods, who talked to Ron Callan just moments ago, will make the hit here, force the fumble, and then look at him burrow in to recover the fumble at the Seattle 18 to end that Packers scoring opportunity. From there, the Hawks head downfield. A couple of big runs by fullback John L. Williams, this one for 16 yards to put the Seahawks in field goal range as the third period ends. No scoring in the quarter, which ended with Seattle still in front by a count of 21-13. We are now set to return to the Kingdome, and another special guest standing by live with our Ron Callan. Ron?
Thanks, Tim. A key member of what happened today on the field for the Seattle Seahawks, Paul Moyer. You had a fumble recovery and you had an interception. Great day for you.
Except for the drop one, it was actually a pretty good day. It really was.
All right, now, some key moments in the game. First of all, Tony Burst with a blocked punt. I know the special teams had a rough moment just before that when they returned it like across the 50 on the kickoff, but talk about what happened on that play, because that was the key moment.
Well, we knew going into the game that we could block punts on them. They flared kind of wide. I won't get into the technical part of it, but we figured the 2 or 3 guys could break loose, and sure enough, Tony Burst did, and he did a great job blocking the punt.
All right. The special teams, they've kind of taken it on the rocks a little bit hard the last few weeks. Is there any extra determination because of maybe the little criticism that's been seeping in?
Well, our punt team has definitely has been faltering. Today, they came back real well. I was really proud of them for that. It just seems like something has to break down before we settle down and really play well. Same with today. Like I said, that kickoff return they returned on us, and we're getting better. We're starting to settle down a little bit. We got a lot of young guys is what's happening right now, and they're very eager, and they seem to want to roam their own way. And we had some breakdowns, but we're getting that cured.
As an old vet, you saw another old vet playing for Green Bay that you spent a lot of time with when he was here at the Seahawks. What was it like playing against David? I know you weren't personally against him, but what was that like today?
Well, it wasn't that strange until I saw him actually coming out when we were warming up and seeing him. It kind of brings back a little emotions. I played with him for 4 years. He was a super friend and a super football player, and obviously he had a pretty good game today. It's strange. I'm sure it's a lot stranger for him than it is for me. Once the game started, I was pretty much geared up to what they were doing.
You had an interception today. Talk about that. You had a chance, and you got over the sidelines, and you dragged that foot. You got it in there.
I dragged that foot, huh? I wasn't sure about that. Well, after I dropped the first one, they ran this thing called the wagon. We're supposed to look up their wide receiver, which I did. And he just threw it to me, and I was going to make sure I caught it, so I cradled it in like a little baby. And at the time, it was a big play, and I'll take it.
All right, now. Yeah, you have a tough one last Monday night in New York. And what was the attitude this week? Because you really needed this win. This was a key game.
Well, our attitude coming in was, well, actually, we had a word of the week, just win. We didn't care how we did it. We knew Green Bay was a type of team that plays very hard. They're very physical. We knew we had to play back that way. But we figured if we could jump on them early, which we didn't, you know, we could, you know, win the game. And so once they jumped on us early, it was a tough uphill battle. But you know, we're at home, and we got 2 more games, and like I said, we could play for first place next week, which could be very rewarding.
Well, that was my next question, the fact that San Diego is a game and a half ahead, and you've always done well against them here at the Kingdom. That has to be another positive factor.
Yeah, it is. You know, like I said, they're coming in, but they're playing well, and hopefully they'll lose and be on a downward fall, so we'll see.
All right, Paul Moyer of the Seattle Seahawks, thanks a lot for dropping by. Another great day for him. The Seahawks win it. Tim, back to you.
Okay, Ron, thanks, and thank you, Paul. When this special edition of The Locker Room returns, we will wrap up today's action around the NFL. We'll take a final trip to the Hawks locker room, and we will have 1 more quarter of highlights to show you from today's game. It's all coming up right after these messages.
It's a pathway that leads from here to tomorrow, from sea to shining sea. The great American road belongs to Buick. Whoa, it's a feeling of smoothness, a power and grace. The road up ahead in command. Yeah, the great American road belongs to Buick.
You wouldn't be caught barefoot in the ice and snow, now would you? Of course not. Yet many people will be caught without proper traction tires on their vehicle. Your neighborhood Big O Tire store has the answer. Mud and snow tires with deep, aggressive treads to help you get safely through the ice and snow. And with over 260 stores, Big O gives you the best products at the best prices. So don't get stuck in the snow. Get to Big O Tires, your winter tire headquarters.
Your Nissan dealer is driving out the largest herd of 87 cars and trucks he's ever had. With help from the factory, he's branding prices lower than ever. What a roundup. Cars and trucks rated #1 in quality, all priced to move. So stampede on over and drive home a goodbye on the cars and trucks built for the human race. Move it out! Drive it out! Drive it out! Move it out! Clear the gate! Liquidate! Clear the gate!
Okay, time now to take a look at the action from the final quarter of the Seahawks' 24-13 win today. Jeff Kemp early on doing a nice job putting the ball down for Norm Johnson here, so Johnson can boot this 24-yard field goal. That actually capped off the day's scoring, 24-13, because it got sloppy from there on out. Watch here on the ensuing kickoff. Johnson boots it deep. The Seahawks' Eric Lane, number 37, will come up and force a fumble. Ooh, what a hit. Terry Justin will recover for the Seahawks deep in Packer territory, but a couple of plays later, the Hawks play giveaway as the Packers' Alfonso Carricker picks off the tip pass and Green Bay gets it back. But wait, there is still more. Besides that fumble at the end of the play, Don Majkowski rolls out, and here's the play where Paul Moyer makes the interception and so deftly drags his foot. The Hawks then put the ball in the hands of Kurt Warner for the last part of the game and successfully wound down the clock as the Seahawks get back on track, a 24-13 victory today over the Green Bay Packers. Okie doke. Before we leave you this afternoon, we want to check into the scoreboards one last time for the final scores from today's action. Elsewhere in the National Football League, quickly, the Cleveland Browns over Green Bay by a count of 27-21 this afternoon in the battle of University of Miami quarterbacks. It was Bernie Kosar besting Jim Kelly in that one. At Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, the Houston Oilers defeated the Steelers today 23-3, 2 touchdown passes for Warren Moon. In overtime at Foxborough, Herschel Walker's 60-yard touchdown run, giving the Dallas Cowboys a 23-17 victory over the New England Patriots. At RFK Stadium in Washington, Coach Joe Gibbs pulled Jay Schrader, inserted Doug Williams, who threw 2 touchdowns, and the Redskins beat Detroit 20-13. The Indianapolis Colts, maybe they're the surprise of the league this year, 40-21. They beat the Miami Dolphins. Eric Dickerson, 157 yards rushing. At St. Louis, the Rams get a field goal from former Husky Mike Lansford with no time remaining to beat the St. Louis Cardinals today, 27-24. The Minnesota Vikings get a touchdown from former Husky Rick Fenney, and former Husky Chuck Nelson kicks 3 field goals there as the Vikings beat Tampa Bay 23-17. The New York Jets over Kansas City by a count of 16-9. The Giants, a good day for the city of New York. The Giants come back in the fourth quarter to beat the Philadelphia Eagles this afternoon 20-17. The Cincinnati Bengals over Atlanta 16-10. And in a thriller at San Francisco, the Saints get a late field goal. After they blew a big lead, they fell behind, and they came back and beat the 49ers 26-24. And they moved to within a game of the NFC Western Division leading San Francisco 49ers. Tonight, of course, the big game, the Los Angeles Raiders playing the Chargers in San Diego. That game will start in about 10 or 15 minutes. The Chargers, of course, trying to maintain their two-game advantage over the Seahawks in the AFC West, and they will do so with a victory. Tomorrow night at Denver, the Monday night game, the Broncos hosting the Chicago Bears. The Broncos pretty much need a victory in this one in order to stay alive in the AFC West. Okay, that'll do it for this special edition of The Locker Room. Thanks so much for joining us. But first, before we go, we want to check out the final standings this afternoon in the AFC and the NFC. Let's take a look at how the standings look as of right now. The 49ers at 7-2 lead New Orleans by 1 game. Atlanta and the Rams out of it at 2-7. Okay, in the Central Division, the Bears pretty much rule the roost there. They go to 8-1 if they can beat the Denver Broncos tomorrow night. Minnesota lags behind. Then come the Packers and the Detroit Lions. In the NFC East, it's the Washington Redskins by 2 games over Dallas. Philadelphia falls 3 back. The Eagles could have hung in there with a victory today, but they lose to the Giants, who are now tied with the St. Louis Cardinals. In the AFC West, it's San Diego by 1.5 games at this juncture over the Seahawks. If the Chargers beat the Raiders tonight, they move back to 2 games in the lead with an 8-1 record. The Hawks now, after their victory today, are 6-3. Checking out the remainder of the AFC standings, now a 2-way tie for first in the Central. Cleveland and Houston, along with the Colts, probably the surprise team in the league this year, 6-3. Pittsburgh drops to 5-4. The Bengals are pretty much history at 3-6. And the AFC East, they finally break that logjam. At the beginning of the day, every team was tied for first or last at 4-4. But now it's down to the Colts and the Jets, 5-4. Buffalo, Miami, and New England are 4-5. And before we leave you this afternoon, we want to check in one last time with Ron Callan down at the Kingdom. Ron?
Thank you, Tim. You know, Bobby Joe Edmonds was put on the inactive list this weekend because of an injury, and who got all the duty? Who was very busy today? David Hollis. You handled it flawlessly.
Well, I'm used to the pressure by being a defensive back. I knew I had a job to do because of Bobby being hurt. He's a great punt returner and great kickoff returner, but I felt like I'm pretty good myself, and I just stepped in and tried to do the job I could, my best job.
Right now, this game featured a lot of turnovers. It was one of those wild games where the ball was bouncing everywhere. Talk about what kind of game was this compared to some of the other games?
Well, we knew this was a very physical game. Green Bay is a very, very good physical team. And we just tried to go out and make more plays than they did as far as turnovers, and the ball bounced our way toward the end.
All right, now, San Diego is 1.5 games ahead. You guys are 6-3. They're 7-1. What are you going to be doing tonight?
Well, I'm going to go home, I'm going to enjoy this, have a little dinner, and I'm going to go watch the game, and hopefully hope they can get beat this week. So we'll be 1 game out, and it won't be that bad when we get them next week or whenever they come here.
All right, David Hollis, thanks for dropping by.
Thank you, sir.
David Hollis, and that's it. The hex continues, Tim Healey. Chuck Knox now 7-0 against teams from the NFC Central as a Seahawk coach.
Okay, Ron, thank you very much. And that will officially do it for this special edition of The Locker Room. We thank you for joining us. Don't forget, starting tonight, a special Sunday news hour. We go to a full hour of news on our early evening newscast on Sunday, starting tonight at 6, and we'll have more on the Hawks and the rest of the National Football League coming up in that hour. We do hope you'll join us. Thank you for being with us now. I'm Tim Healey. Have a good day and a good evening, everyone.
Today's special edition of The Locker Room has been brought to you by Buick and your Buick dealer. The Great American Road belongs to Buick. By Big O Tires, your winter tire headquarters. By Pizza Hut. And by your Western Washington Nissan dealers, offering liquidation prices on all remaining 1987 cars and trucks.